I once saw a woman in a Dula 1000 gown screaming for help as she sank into a muddy sinkhole, clutching a bouquet above her head like it was her last tether to serve VY Val. But that wasn't even the wildest part. The real kicker came when her entourage blocked my ranch driveway, cutting off a VY Tal livestock delivery because their GPS swore my land was a picturesque detour. That's when I realized the universe had dropped a golden chance for revenge right in my lap. And fortunately, I had 3 ranch dogs just as ready to settle the score as I was. The morning had started like any other, peaceful, productive, with the faint scent of hay and bold coffee in the air. I was halfway through fixing the cattle gates for a new bull set to arrive by noon. My ranch isn't some high-end setup, but it's my pride and joy. 400 acres of rolling pasture, a sturdy barn, a handful of ornery goats, and a trio of dogs sharper than most people I've met. The calm shattered at 9:07 a.m. when a convoy of glossy black SUVs and pastel-colored sedans rolled in like they were filming a luxury car ad. I blinked. Was this a funeral I hadn't been invited to? They didn't even slow down, breezing past my private property signs and parking along my gravel drive, some nudging into the edges of my pasture fencing. I dropped my wrench and trudged down the hill. My boots hit the ground just as a woman with oversized sunglasses and a walkie-talkie hopped out of a white Escalade, barking orders about flower arrangements. She didn't notice me until I spoke. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "you're on private property." She spun around with a smile so fake it could have curdled cream. "Oh, hi there. Don't worry, we're just parking for a quick wedding up the road. I'm Lisa, the event coordinator." She waved her walkie-talkie like it was a VIP pass. "And that gives you the right to park 27 cars on my ranch?" I asked. Her grin faltered, but she pressed on. "Your place looked empty. We figured you wouldn't mind for a couple hours. You've got such a great VY. Youth bride wanted the mountains in her entrance shot. So romantic, right?" I glanced past her. 2 groomsmen in tuxes were wrestling a folding table out of a trunk onto my gravel. A woman in heels tiptoed around cow dung like it was a war zone. A kid had wandered too close to my horse pen. I could already see my bull delivery delayed, cattle stressed, and risks piling up like hay in summer. "You need to move these cars now," I said, stepping closer. "This isn't a venue. It's a working ranch." Lisa huffed like I'd asked her to hand over her firstborn. "Look, you don't get how big this day is. The bride's dad is a judge, okay? We don't want trouble. It's just a couple hours. Can't you be a good neighbor?" Funny, I shot back, because good neighbors don't trespass. She turned away, muttering into her walkie-talkie, "Set up by the fence, not the barn, and watch the poop." Reason wasn't working. I headed back to the barn and whistled. 3 heads snapped up: Rusty, Jet, and Scout. They're working dogs, part shepherd, part pure mischief. They know the land, my signals, and most importantly, when I'm ticked off. Rusty's built like a tank, broad and solid. Jet's a blur of speed with a matching attitude. Scout's the mastermind, the kind of dog who'd unlock the feed bin just to watch the chickens freak out. I gave one hand signal and pointed at the cars. It started subtly, tail wag, a sniff. Scout slinked between sedans, setting off alarms with his tail. Jet leaped onto an open trunk, scattering programs into the breeze. Rusty strolled up to a guest lighting a Unity candle and knocked the lighter away with a gentle nudge. Lisa shrieked, "Get these dogs away. Someone control them." "I'd love to," I said, "but this is their property." Panic erupted. A woman in stilettos twisted her ankle near the goat pen. A tuxedoed guy bolted after Rusty, who'd nabbed a floral ribbon and pranced like a show dog. Jet zipped through the crowd, leaving muddy paw prints on dresses and slacks. Scout parked himself by the cake table, daring anyone to shoo him. No one did. Amid the chaos, I backed my truck across the driveway entrance, adding a livestock trailer and tractor for good measure. Now the wedding party was trapped. Lisa stormed over, sweaty and mascara-streaked. "You'll pay for this. I'm calling the HOA and the cops." "Good luck," I said. "This isn't HOA land, and the sheriff's on my speed dial. I send ribeyes to the station every Christmas." Her mouth opened, probably to threaten lawsuits or bad reviews, but a distant honk cut her off. My livestock truck couldn't get through. The cattle, due in 20 minutes, would be stuck on the county road, racking up fees and blocking traffic. This wasn't just about pride, Anna Marie, it was business. Lisa seemed to sense the shift, but it was too late. The dogs had regrouped by the fence, herding guests toward a slick, muddy slope from last night's rain. I leaned on the fence, sipped my coffee, and grinned. The mud pit wasn't my wedding gift, but nature has a funny way of pitching in. My dogs don't just guard, they read people. They'd seen me deal with entitled types for year, fancy outfits, loud voices, ignoring signs. Game on. Jet struck first, darting between a bridesmaid and a guy with chairs, smearing mud with surgical precision. The guy yelped, stumbled, and the chairs crashed down, nicking Lisa's floral arch. She screamed into her walkie-talkie, but it was just static. Scout circled a group fixing a toppled table, barking once to startle a woman with cupcakes. Pink frosting splattered a groom's cousin like modern art. Rusty chuffed approvals, a fan of chaos. Guests panicked. Some climbed into cars only to find my truck, trailer, and tractor had them boxed in. An older guy in a straw hat and Bluetooth strutted over. Move that truck, or I'll call my lawyer. I didn't look up from my coffee. Your lawyer gonna airlift these cars out? He glared like I'd sunk his boat. You're ruining a legal wedding. Nope, I said. You're delaying a federal livestock delivery. Those trucks don't wait for photo ops. That's when the dogs went full throttle. Rusty barked twice, wagging his tail like a guide. A woman cooed. Ah, he's showing us something. She and 5 others, including a stiletto lady, a one-shoed groomsman, and a kid with a selfie stick, followed him past the barn toward the back pasture. Scout and Jet flanked them like pros. I knew where they were headed and didn't stop it. Beyond the barn lies what I call Sludge Hollow, a swampy, clay-heavy patch that turns VY Sias after rain. Last night's storm had primed it perfectly. The first heel sank and screams erupted. My shoe! Oh my God, my shoe! The stiletto lady lost both, one VY Cybele half submerged, the other gone forever. Her dress was a muddy mess. She fell backward, splashing muck up her spine. The groomsman slipped trying to help, face planting in sludge. His suit went from navy to swamp camo. The selfie kid laughed until Jet splashed mud on his lens, then dropped his phone in the goo, shrieking. Scout herded the rest into a tight circle near the deepest part. Forward meant sinking, back meant facing Jet's smug, muddy blockade. Lisa charged over, veil flapping. What are you doing? This isn't the ceremony spot. Her heels sank as she froze, gaping. Someone get them. They can't look like this. Like they hit a real ranch? I offered. She glared murderously. This is a disaster. Also, you'll never host a wedding again. Didn't know I started, I said. Just then, the photographer, Jake, rolled up. A lanky guy with a long lens and a sharp wit. He was a buddy of mine, hired by Lisa through a third party without knowing he was local. He grinned and started snapping shots. Oh yeah, he muttered, this is going viral. Delete those. Lisa yelled. This isn't the VYB. Jake smirked. Lady, this is Pulitzer gold. Rusty trotted up, tail wagging. Jake scratched him and said, good boy, a natural director. Lisa stomped off, hit a soggy patch, and snapped a heel. She stumbled into the arch, collapsing one side. Silk flowers rained down as muddy guests slipped, trying to help. My dogs sat in a perfect triangle, watching their work unfold like proud artists. I sipped my coffee and nodded. Nature gave the mud, but they served the justice. Mud doesn't care about your status doula 5000 dress, airbrushed makeup, or freebooze chasing cousin. It's the great leveler. And that day it crashed the wedding union VY TED. By the time half the guests were stuck in the pit, the rest were frantic. Some climbed fences for signal while VYing phones like SOS flags. A guy stood on a Lexus hood, cursing the sky and threatening the National Guard. It'd be hilarious if my livestock truck wasn't now 35 minutes late. The hauler called twice, increasingly annoyed. I told him to hang on, justice was still simmering. Lisa gave up on her guests and fixated on photos, yelling at Jake, get the bridesmaids on gravel. Clean the paw prints off the rug. Where's the flower girl? Last I saw, the flower girl was riding a wheelbarrow, towed by my teenage ranch hand, both giggling like it was a carnival. Lisa stomped over. Control your dogs. They've ruined everything. Me cousin's ankles swollen, the groomsman's got hives, and someone said your goat ate their purse. Sounds like a true ranch experience, I said. She screeched, I didn't book a ranch experience, I wanted your land for ambience. Funny, I replied, I didn't offer it. Another scream rang out. The bride, trying to rescue someone, tripped in her flowing gown and face planted in the mud. Silence fell for 5 seconds, then a collective gasp. Scout barked, almost a laugh. She sat up, unrecognizable, one eyelash stuck to her cheek. A guest slipped helping her, toppling a chair into the mess. Jake's camera clicked nonstop. "Stop!" Lisa screamed. "You're making it worse." "I'm documenting the day," Jake said. "This is it." My truck, trailer, and my neighbor's ATV dropped off with fencing kept everyone locked in. A guest dented their bumper trying to move my trailer. The catering truck arrived, saw the chaos, and bailed. "Not risking $5,000 of food," the driver said. "Brisket's mine then," I grinned. Guests passed out granola bars and mints like rations. Lisa shrieked into her phone as the band ditched and the DJ cried in his car. Sheriff Tom pulled up, laughing as he stepped out. "Looks like your cows aren't the only ones getting herded." "I warned them," I said. He approached Lisa. "Ma'am, you're trespassing." Her face paled. "We were told it was fine." "By who?" "Me?" She faltered. Tom handed her a citation: trespassing, endangerment, maybe animal disturbance if the goat ate that purse. "Press charges?" he asked me. "Karma's got it," I said. Scout barked agreement. The wedding crumble, guests muddy and starved, whining, bride sobbing in the barn, cake melting. My dogs lounged, proud of their trap. Lisa wouldn't quit, even with citations and chaos. She called the HOA, thinking they'd save her. 3 reps arrived, took one look, and balked. "Did you get permission?" one asked. "I didn't need toits next to the community." Lisa snapped. "This isn't HOA land," I said. Tom showed a deed me ranch predated their turf by 15 years. The bride's mom stormed up, "Leave UID. You said this was booked. My daughter's crying and you blame him." Lisa backpedaled. "I didn't know it'd rain or the dogs were wild." "They're smarter than you," I muttered. The mom softened toward me. "Sorry we wrecked your day." "Not your fault," I said. She revealed Lisa charged $4,000, claiming it was a venue. Tom's eyes narrowed. "That's unlicensed business if you used my land's photos." Lisa crumbled. "This is a witch hunt." I said no, I cut in. "You didn't hear it." Guests watched like it was a drama. Jake muttered. "Better than HBO." A groomsman paid $50 for a hose down. Another froze when Scout growled near the spigot. The HOA reps bailed, hinting at fraud reports. A goat ate the bride's shoe as the sun set, gilding the chaos. Lisa slumped on her Escalade, defeated, a paw print on her back. The bride rocked under a blanket, groom sipping a flask. I hung a new sign. "Trespassers escorted by dogs, they know the mud." Later, Jake's Vuiral Vuideo Hitmut screams goats with comments like "Justice for a bear and a Florida-sized pit." I hadn't aimed to ruin a wedding, just wanted my driveway clear. But when chaos knocks, my dogs answer. And with ruined shoes, fines, and full-bellied pups, they answered well.